this idea of completing an emotion or digesting an emotion, right? So these emotions that get frozen are emotions that our nervous system, oftentimes when we were really young, didn't even have the capacity to have that energy flow through it. The energy was just too much, and so that's why it froze. And so what we're ultimately trying to do here is develop more nervous system capacity so that when really intense things happen, that our nervous system has the capacity to process them in that moment. Now, the great thing about this is that the more challenging emotions that you have the capacity to process, then becomes the greater capacity for us to feel positive emotions. What's up, guys? I really didn't think I was going to do this one today because, to be honest, I got a big headache right now. So I wasn't planning on doing it, but I made it out here to Balboa Park. You can check out, this is a really, really beautiful place. So I got the intuition to come down to San Diego, and on the way down I started realizing that there's probably some energies to digest down there. And this kind of keys into the topic that I've probably labeled it by the time you're seeing it as, which is having to do with freezes and with thawing freezes and trauma. On the drive down, I recognized, as part of the healing path, it'd probably be valuable to go back to some of these old places where I used to inhabit, to feel those old energies and see if those old energies came up and I could digest more of them. And digestion being one of the key kind of themes to trauma healing, specifically with healing freezes. You can see this tower over here. I should show it to you because this is what they call old Tartaria. Can you even see that? It's like right up there. It looks almost like a tree. Anyway, I'm gonna have to make a video about that because there's all this stuff out about Tartaria and whatnot. This is actually one of those spots here at Balboa Park. So they have all this old beautiful architecture all over the place, and that's a whole topic to dive into. But digesting trauma was what I was talking about, and freezes in particular. Now, freezes, what's tricky and trippy about freezes is that they're so hard to detect. It's not like other trauma where it's obvious. A lot of other trauma responses are very obvious because they're fight or flight. They're like people are screaming at each other in reactivity. So it's a response from trauma. But freezes, these ones go under the radar. And here's the scary thing about it, is that a freeze is recognized by someone, and when we haven't recognized our freezes yet, what we see a freeze is normal behavior. So a freeze is a coping mechanism where the emotions got frozen into the biology, into the nervous system, and then some other kind of behavior took its place. But it wasn't fight or flight. It usually looks more like, see, a lot of people, when they think of freezes, they think, oh, you're frozen and you just can't do anything. That's not what it means. People go about their job every day in a freeze, operating from a freeze all the time. A freeze is just frozen emotions and then some sort of coping mechanism behavior that might look very normal on top of it to someone with an untrained eye. So a lot of our freezes that we have are just, to us at this point, they're just like normal behaviors. What happens is you start kind of being able to feel into the edges of freezes as you start doing deeper work, and you start noticing that there's this numbed out part of your body that almost you start feeling like a deeper pressure in that area, and that starts indicating, oh wow, there's a freeze there. There's part of your emotions are stuck in that part of the body. As you start to feel it, and then that's the beginning stage of starting to kind of read the body and see what's going on. Eventually that can lead to thawing a freeze. When you thaw a freeze, it thaws out, life force comes back to the area of the body, and that's another step in healing it. I forgot to mention, if any of you guys want to go deeper with me, you guys want to talk about trauma or freezes, or any topic really, Tartaria, anything like that, I am doing donation calls. So you can go ahead and I put in the comment, if this is YouTube, I put in the comments my email, which is Patrick, Patrick Hayes, Haize @gmail.com. You can email me there, or if you're Facebook or Instagram, you just DM me and we can set up a call, and we can talk more on this stuff. And by the way, if you haven't subscribed already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. But where was I? Yeah, so freezes, the thawing process is the solution for freezes. But like I was saying, these are these deep hidden things that are really hard to find, because so many of them you'll just associate as your normal everyday behavior. So one of the things, greater kind of concepts in understanding trauma healing, is this idea of completing an emotion or digesting an emotion, right? So these emotions that get frozen are emotions that our nervous system, oftentimes when we were really young, didn't even have the capacity to have that energy flow through it. The energy was just too much, and so that's why it froze. And so what we're ultimately trying to do here is develop more nervous system capacity so that we can process these unprocessed emotions, and then have a capacity so that when really intense things happen, intense emotions come up, that our nervous system has the capacity to process them in that moment and just move it through. Now, the great thing about this is that the more challenging emotions that you have the capacity to process, and process doesn't just mean cathartic. Actually, it's not. Oftentimes, it isn't some like snotty-nosed crying. Oftentimes, it's just someone wouldn't even necessarily know that you're processing an emotion, but it's just a relaxation of the body, and then a heavy movement of energy through the body. But the capacity that we develop for being able to feel those challenging emotions, that once we're traumas, then we're able to then process when our nervous system capacity gets enough, then becomes the capacity, the greater capacity for us to feel positive emotions. So you can think of the nervous system as kind of like a circuit, and it can only have so much current running through that circuit when there are all these resistors in there, and so when emotions get jammed up in there, there's all this resistance, it's all blocked. Well, the greater nervous system capacity is not very high. But when you learn how to process them and then they move, yes, you learn how to process the negative emotions, but that opens up the channels for you to basically channel higher, more vibrant, more beautiful and enjoyable emotions also. And this is why your vibration goes up every time you integrate or digest some undigested piece of trauma in your system. And that's basically what I did today. Was I started driving down, I realized, there are, because it's hard to sometimes go back and find, you're not really supposed to traditionally like go digging for emotions. You're supposed to wait till, they come up in your everyday life to start thawing freezes or working with them. And sometimes in clinical settings, or if you know what you're doing, you can kind of, initiate an old trauma to come up so that you could, try to digest it more. But essentially there's this digestion process. So it's an uncompleted emotion. You want to complete the emotion and get good at digesting. And so when I was driving down, I was feeling all these, feelings I hadn't felt. And I was like, maybe this is why I got the hit to come down here. Because I have a feeling if I go back through all these places that it'll jog memories and bring up older emotions that I haven't felt. And that might be a breadcrumb trail to some unprocessed trauma that maybe I could process. And sure enough, it definitely happened. And I think there's something with the land also, because when we have unprocessed stuff, when we've acted out in transgressive ways on a particular land, part of the healing process is like ownership of that and atonement for it. And so I think coming back here, I was just remembering some of the mind states I was in, some of the vibrations I was in, some of the things I did, and that stuff. Just even the thought forms, even the negative emotions, is like pollution. It's pollution for the planet, pollution for the earth, because the earth is the one that's actually digesting, that has to digest these energies for you when you don't digest them yourself. And this is actually one of the core issues with a lot of the ecological problems we're seeing, which is something I'll get into later, because this actually ties deeply into the sexual matrix and the issue that's going on with so much distorted sexual energy needing to be processed by Mother Earth. That this came directly from the Kogi tribe. I'm gonna do a whole video on this one. The Kogi tribe, which, look them up, Kogi tribe. They're stewards of Mother Earth, unbroken lineage from Colombia, and directly from them, the unprocessed, distorted sexual energy on the planet is literally what's killing Mother Earth. It is killing Mother Earth. And so us restoring our sexual integrity is pretty dang important. But essentially, this is how all of it goes. I was doing work with them, and they were having us do these different meditations and stuff where, you know, you go through these different kind of cultural distortions and see your part in them, and it gets deep, because the cultural distortions and thought forms that humans are creating have gotten so toxic that they're actually confusing elemental beings. So you have like elementals, you know, elemental beings associated with all different functions in nature that are forgetting what their actual purpose is, because the new sphere, like the sphere of distorted thought forms created by humans, are, you know, cluttering up the space and disconnecting their connection to essence of Mother Gaia consciousness. So crazy stuff going on. But this is part of what trauma healing is. Trauma healing is taking responsibility for all the negative emotions that we put out, all of the negative thought forms that we put out, and of course especially the deeds that we have committed. Oh yeah, real quick, one thing I wanted to mention. If you are looking to get some support in healing your trauma, and you don't have a whole lot of money, but you want something that will really kind of grease the wheels for you, I put together these MP3s. They're sun activation MP3s, and in the whole, you know, description about them, I really get into the details of it. But the sun rhythms, the sunlight rhythms, is an ancient technology that all the ancients used to keep them in tune with the natural resonance of the biosphere, which is their true nature, the biology's true nature. And trauma cannot integrate or heal properly unless it's healing back into a body that's in bioresonant frequency harmony. So I created these MP3s that you can take out to sunrise and sunset to help you sync with those energies, so that you can sync your biology up properly, so that when you do the trauma work, that it actually is received by the body, that the body's actually, the platform for the trauma healing is there already. And in many ways it actually starts priming you for the healing. So it helps to catalyze it also. So if you're looking for help with your emotions, you're looking for help with integrating, you know, destructive thinking, all these kinds of things, go ahead to the link that I put down in either the comments or you know, somewhere beneath over there, and follow that. You can read more on it. It's like under 20 bucks, really cheap. But you go out, you listen to it during sunrise and sunset, and it plugs you right into that essence, and it's super, super helpful. When I started doing this was when my healing journey took a total blast off. So trust me, this will be super helpful for you. Go check it out. Talk to you later. Much love. From Balboa Park, San Diego, this is Patrick Hayes, and I will talk to you next time. One love.